Okay, now you guys can probably hear me. Okay, good. So let me see what is going on. Look at it in my channel. Okay, good. So there are a couple of people here. Hello, all. So I'm going to be sending invites to people, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the format just a little bit. What I'm going to do is we're going to kind of decide, we're going to talk about something, and then I'm going to go from whoever joins first, kind of like a stack, and then have people talk about each, whatever it is that they want to say about that particular topic. And then once that's done, we'll introduce a new topic and talk about that. With this way, what it is so that not one particular person can dominate the conversation, and then other people can include something and kind of twist it off into another direction, which is frustrating. And then later on, maybe after about an hour or so, then we can just do a free for all, and it'll just be a cage match, and whichever voices the loudest can say whatever the fuck they want. But for the first hour, we'll have it nice and orderly, and everybody will have a chance to say something. And then later on, then it'll be just like a slugfest. So let me know if you want to join in. Oh, there is one lady I know who I wanted to invite. So let me go and invite her. Hello, Synthetic. So let's see. Let me see who's in the audience here. I got David. Hey, David. Hello, Zabora. Hey, Cece. Mick Maven, you're here. Good. Mick Maven, I'm going to send you an invite because you contacted me before. So let me send you an invite. Crud. So Mick Maven, I'm going to send you an invite via, whoops, that's the wrong one, via Twitter. So I'm going to send it to you over Twitter. Let me see. There she is. Okay. So I'm going to be tweeting you the link. And let me see. There we are. Okay. So I'm sending you the link right now, McMaven. So you should be getting it. Let me see. Who else? You can't hear. Yeah, I think I fixed the volume. Hello, Muddy Witch. Synthetic Rebellion. Hey, Synthetic. Animist. Hey, Animist. Sorry about earlier. Hello, Muddy. Okay, good. And let me see. And Moat. Hey, Moat. And Christy McConnell. Mayberry Last Stand. Hangouts link. Mayberry Last Stand. Hope things are better today. So let me see. Okay, first of all, hey, David, do you want to come in? Zabora, do you want to come in? Let me know. I look in your voice. Your voice is cloud. Oh, clear. I was like, my voice is cloud. What does that mean? I've never had a cloud voice before. All right, let me see. What else is in here? Let me see. Yes. Okay, Zabora. So I think, okay, David, no problem. Hey, Witchy Nicole. All right, Zabora, hello, Emily Stevenson. Zabora, I think I'm following you on Twitter. Let me see. No, I don't think you do have a Twitter, do you, Zabora? That's okay. Let me send it to you via Facebook. Why is it that only when I need to use social media do I suddenly forget how to use it? Let me see. Okay. Let me see. Where are you? All right, I have too many friends. I got to eliminate some friends. No, I'm just kidding. Let me see. Where are you? No, that's not you. No, that's not you. Let me see. Ah, yeah, here it is. Okay, yeah. Hey, thanks. All right, so there's the link. You just sent me in that message. That was a lot easier rather than me figuring out where it was. Gmail me if you want me to join. Yeah, sure, Witchy Nicole. Witchy Nicole, you're gonna have to send me your email address again. I'm sorry, I don't keep track of them. Now let me see. Did Mitch Maven join? No, she didn't. Hey, Mitch, did you get my invite? Let me know if I have to send it again. Hey, Loveless. Let me see. Yes, Loveless, but I don't think you were here for it earlier. The way I'm going to do it is when people come in, we're going to create a stack. I'm going to let everybody talk on the topic. And then after everybody's done talking, then we'll change the topic. But we're going to give everybody a chance to talk. And we're going to decide the topic. It's not going to be just kind of a free-for-all. But then later on, okay, McMaven. And then later on, what we'll do is we'll have a cage match, and it'll just be a free-for-all. So, all right, Loveless, send me your email.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
So I can send you a or put your email in the chat, and then I'll send you an invite.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Zabora, welcome.
Can you hear me?
Can people hear her? I can't hear me. Okay. One second. There we go. Oh, hold on. All right, I'm having technical difficulties here.
Me too.
There we go. Okay, good. I can hear you now. Can you hear me, Zabora? I guess not. Okay.
Hold on.
All right. Hey, Mad. Hey, Mad, can you hear me? You can't hear me, can you? I'm always having sound problems. Okay. Let me see. Can the chat hear me? Chat, can you hear me? Okay, let me see. Can the chat? Yeah, okay, so I just can't hear myself. That's what it is.
I can hear you.
All right, so the microphone is here. This is the microphone. And Realtek high definition. You know what? I probably have to do this.
Put your headphones in.
Oh, man. All right, there we go. I'm probably going to have to put these in. And then go to that. Okay. Can the chat still hear me? Okay. Okay, good. So I still can't hear myself. That's all right. It doesn't, I don't have to hear myself.
I can hear you just fine.
Yeah. As long as you guys can hear me, chat can hear me. Just for some reason, I can't hear myself, but it's okay. I don't need to hear myself. All right. All right. Hey, Mad, what's up?
Not much. Just going over some.
Now, Mad, you're real quiet.
I can't hear him.
Yeah. We can't hear you, Mad. We're all having sound issues. All right, let me see here. Okay, so humility is a virtue. Clicked on the link on Twitter, can't access it properly. Okay, Mitch, let me see if I can send it to you again. So hold on one second.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're a little better. You're a little better. So, hey, Mitch, I sent it to you again, so try it again. And if you still have a problem with it, then send me your email address in chat, and then I'll send you the link directly. Or actually, if you want, better yet, tweet me your email address, because I know you can tweet me. And then what I'll do is I'll send you the link. All right, let's see, what else have I missed here? Okay, so it's Crystal Rose Witch. Hey, Crystal. There we go. So how's it going, Zabora?
I'm good. How about you? I just got done setting everything up.
Oh, good.
I had to pull my Xbox out. I couldn't find my wall charger. So I've got my phone's plugged into the Xbox next to my altar.
Ah, okay.
That was difficult.
All right. So, okay, Mitch. Yeah. So, Mitch, if that link doesn't work, just tweet me your email address, and I'll email it to you.
Better now?
Yes, much better.
Okay.
I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna pop out this
Yeah,
chat.
once.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank God. I don't have my headphones.
Sounds like you're on a cell phone or something.
Unfortunately.
And Kenny's quest. Hey, Kenny. Let me see. Hello, Emily. Let me see. Kenny's. Yeah, Kenny, let me see if I, Kenny, let me, I'll invite you via Facebook. Back.
So what's up with this new super chat thing I keep seeing?
You gotta pay money to like have a noticeable comment or something. I have no idea other than that.
Yeah.
Because I was watching
she sort of got it right.
Rob Dyke last night, and people kept on doing $50.
Yep.
On that, I'm like, holy crap.
That's a lot.
It is. Hey, Loveless, you're gonna have to give me your email address so I can send you an invite.
All right, just a second, guys. Hold on.
All right. Yeah. So the way Super Chat works is what you do is if you click that little cash icon, it'll open up a dialog box where you can donate like $2 to however much money you want. It starts out at $2, but you can actually move the slider down to $1 if you want. So you can donate $1 to anything. And what you do is you send that off, you put your credit card information, your credit card gets charged immediately, and then it's sent into the chat, and whatever message you put with it goes out. So like, let's say you put, you donate $5 and you say, whatever, the message will come up there. Like, I don't know, whatever you want to say.
So how is that
popular channels paying $5 and then come watch my videos, subscribe to me.
Well, one way to do it.
Come on.
Of course, most people will be like, who the fuck is that?
Oh, that's my fiance.
Hello.
Huh?
That's my fiance.
Hi.
Hey. No, I was saying, who the fuck was that? As in, like, if Mad went into a chat room and and said that. That's okay. And then said, like, subscribe to my channel. People in the chat room would be like, who the fuck is that? So I wasn't saying to you, Kenny, like, who the fuck is that?
You can ask who the fuck I am too. Yeah, fair.
Yeah, but the good thing is now we know who the fuck you are. So, hello.
That's true. Hi.
He is the muggle among us.
The muggle among us. There are many muggles among us. Okay, so my apologies. I'm still sending out invites here. All right.
So I went to the crystal shop today and I got some pretties. Do you guys want to see them?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, just a
Some
second.
pretties.
Yeah, I got some pretties. Okay, so I got 2 lodestones. This is the first one here, and it's gigantic.
Mm.
It's a female lodestone.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Hello.
Oh, good. Hey, everyone.
Great.
All right.
Let me see. Okay.
Hey, Nicole.
Hey,
I
Nicole.
got everybody.
All right. I think I've got plenty of people.
Oh, God.
Right? Everybody's
I
like
don't think you guys.
flat chatting. Go.
I don't know if you guys.
All
My cookies.
Wait. Does everyone hear like an echo?
Yeah, that's Nicole.
There we go.
That's disgusting.
Everybody mute
I'm not on mute. I don't think.
yourself, except for Zavora, please.
So I got 2 lodestones, and then this here. I don't know if you guys can see this. This is rainbow pyrite. It's different colors. It's got like
Oh, who's this?
red and green in it and everything else. You guys
Oh.
see that? Lighting's probably too terrible. Anyway, don't matter. I got a piece of soda light. I haven't had a piece of soda light yet. And my absolute favorite that I got, I found these just a couple dollars each. These are $4 each.
Uh-oh.
And they're little tiny pyramids. And I got one in amethyst and I got this one in clear quartz. And it's like almost perfect. They're the exact same size. So I've got those for my altars and I'm super excited for that. So that's everything.
Okay, cool.
Wonderful.
So now let me see. There's just one last person I'm trying to get in here. And then
I don't know.
who's echo coming
Nicole,
from?
Hey. I don't know if you can see me because I can't see me doing stuff. So hold
Okay.
on.
Oh, you put anything?
I'm just trying to figure out where the
Oh, there
echo's
we go.
coming from. If you have headphones,
Oh.
try using
Richie.
those. Okay, so is there still an echo? No, there isn't.
No.
Okay, so Witchy, Nicole,
Oh, second class.
There. Can you hear me now?
you have a,
Yes.
yes, you have headphones?
Who are you talking to?
Doesn't matter.
Oh,
Let me see if I
crap.
have some headphones.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you for a second. Okay, so when you have headphones on, let me know.
Sorry.
All right. Okay, so let me see.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay, so there's still one person I'm trying to get in here, and then I think that's enough.
I heard something about a
Oh, crap.
coming to the slam.
Cage fight?
Yeah, the cage fight.
Oh yeah.
Sabora?
Yeah, so I just have one more person that I'm going to try to get in here. And I'm going to try to, because there's a lot of people in here, I'm going to try to I'll introduce a topic and then we'll just kind of like go down the line, like the way it is on my screen. And then we'll open it up and then people can talk about each one. And then, so everybody has a chance to talk on it.
I'm going to have
Then
so
we'll come
much
back
fun.
around and have another topic.
Should we have a time limit?
Oh, God.
It's within reason.
Okay.
I'm not gonna sit there with a clock going, you got 30 seconds left. Shut up.
Treat it like a
Reminds me
debate.
so much
Within
of
reason.
class.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're like sitting there and you're just like, dictating war and peace to us, yeah, I think that's too much.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Hellbound, do you know what this reminded me?
Let me see.
He probably didn't hear me.
What'd you say?
This is gonna probably be so irrelevant, but fun fact. Do you know about a woman that was in Scientology named Karen de la Carriere?
No.
Well, just a very funny fact. She actually used a username on some website called War and Peace.
Okay.
I know. It was just a thought form.
Fun fact: the handshake was invented to show that you had the weapons in your hand.
Don't get me started with that.
All right.
And then they invented the Derringer.
Okay, so
Derringer, so you could go.
all right, we'll go ahead and get started. So I there's one more person I'm trying to get in here, but it sounds like she might be having issues.
Is it Cece?
So, huh?
Is it Cece?
No, it wasn't Cece. I don't think Cece wanted in.
Oh God.
Yeah, I didn't see anything from her.
I could-
No, it was another person who contacted me last week who was watching one of the. Oh, you know what? Witchy Nicole's still muted. Hey, Witchy, sorry about that. Are you? Did you get headphones?
The mic thing's still on.
Oh, there it goes.
There it goes. Did you get headphones, Witchy?
It's still on.
Heck.
Technical difficulties, everybody.
Well, it must be on her end because I'm trying to unmute her.
Error.
There we go.
Is it done?
By the way, Loveless.
Did it work?
No, I'm still hearing echo.
Is there still an echo? All right. So what I'll do is I'll just drop out so somebody else can get in because my kids broke my headphones that I just found out.
All right.
So
Okay.
I'll drop out.
See you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Okay. There she goes. Okay. So yeah, no, it was somebody who contacted me last week. A lady named Mitch, and so I was trying to get her in here. So because it's always nice because huh?
You were talking about that earlier. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. So just wanted to get her in here because it's always nice to have people who I've never met in here before because that's what this hangout is for. It's just kind of like to get to know my subscribers.
Definitely.
But yeah, but I mean if people are shy and they don't want to join in, that's okay.
I wish I had enough subscribers to do live shows.
You do. You have a good chunk. How many do you have so far?
And I hear from like 10 of you guys.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny. You can have. There she is.
Hello.
Hey,
Yay!
welcome, Mitch.
Hello, it's Mitch, actually. It's good. Can you actually hear me?
What is it? Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I'm a little bit technologically not very savvy right now, so apologies all.
That's
It's
okay.
cool.
So, did I pronounce your name correctly?
It's short for Michelle.
Okay. So, what do you prefer?
Michelle, it really doesn't matter.
Okay, so it's Mish.
Yes.
Okay, Mish. Okay, Mish. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. No, I'm just excited because I actually figured out how to use this. I've never actually used Google Hangouts or anything to that effect before. So, yeah, I kind of stumbled through, but thanks for being patient.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
That's
So
how
I think what we'll. Huh?
That's how I started. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, great. I'm not the only one.
No.
We all have to
So
start
what
somewhere.
Yeah. So what I think I'm going to do is earlier I was talking about what I want to do is kind of like give everybody an opportunity to talk. So we're gonna. I think what we'll do is we'll go around, introduce ourselves, and tell everybody a little bit about ourselves, and I'm going to call it the way that it appears on my screen. So those people who are watching it, it's probably going to look like we're bouncing around, but that's anyhow. Don't worry about it. But and then we're going to kind of introduce a topic. Everybody will have a chance to talk on it, and then we'll, so everybody has a chance to talk. And so please, if somebody is in the middle of talking and somebody else is next, don't interrupt. Don't say anything. Let the last person have what they want to say. Then it'll come back around and we can say stuff. And if you don't want to say anything, you just say, I pass or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So Loveless. So it's going to go Loveless, Mad, Mish, Kenny, Zabora, and then myself will be last. So Loveless, why don't you go ahead and tell people about yourself and what you're interested in and just a little bit about you.
I can almost write a book on this. So, as what some of you know, my name is Loveless. I've been doing the craft since October 2012, and I'm an eclectic. I've pretty much made a lot of social media accounts, such as like WordPress, YouTube, LO, and so far and so forth. And I'm full of colors, if you get my drift.
Okay. Mad?
Is Mad Witch, the Pissed Off Pagan. I run a very small YouTube channel and also am one of the co-hosts for Heathen Haven. I'm a very, very nerdy person. Love video games, card games, tabletops, you name it, I've played it. I've been practicing the craft for about 15 years, eclectic. And thanks for having me on.
All right. And then Mish?
All right, I'm Maven. I'm from up here in Canada. As of right now, I'm actually battling onward through the 90 freaking km/h wind here. Unfortunately, we're going to get a storm. I'm interested in tarot, runestones, wildcrafting. I'm absolutely enthralled with being outside. I also practice what's known as natural horsemanship. It's about building a bond with a horse without using things like bits, bridles, stuff like that. It's about building a rapport and trust. So just anything nature in the outdoors, animals. I've been reading tarot for 15 years now, and I'm just interested in all sorts of cool stuff.
Oh, okay. And Kenny?
All right, so my username is Kenny's Quest, but I just go by Matt. I have been pagan for around 8 years now, basically since I was 12, and I've only technically been practicing witchcraft for as long as I haven't been in my mom's house, and that's mostly because she doesn't let me burn candles in there. So, I am currently trying to find my niche in a lot of the stuff. A lot of the stuff that I'm doing is basic talks. I do voiceover as well. I do a lot of nerdy stuff. I do anime, video games. I think at one point I did card games, but not anymore. But other than that, most of my life is either school, pagan stuff, video games, food, or sleep.
All right. And then Zabora?
Nini, everybody. I'm Zabora. I have a channel. You can just go ahead and look me up under Zabora, Zabora. I am a Kemetic pagan, which is kind of a fancy way of saying I follow the Egyptian pantheon. Hopefully similar to how the ancient Egyptians did. I've been a witch for 15 years now, 16 years and 3 months. I'm very proud of that, but at the same time, I learn something new every day and feel like a baby. So That's my pitch.
Cool. And my name's Lilok, and I have a channel called Hellbound Heathen, and also I'm one of the co-hosts with the Heathen Haven, which Mad Witch mentioned, and I've been pretty much practicing traditional Wicca. That's what I started with, and I pretty much stuck with it. I also study a lot of the occult, and that's pretty much my main focus is traditional Wicca, witchcraft, and the occult. And I did practice druidry for a while, but I really didn't identify with me too much. And I've been having a YouTube page for a YouTube channel now for 3 or 4 years. And it's been a lot of fun because I've been able to contact people throughout the entire world who are, pagan, witch, druid, whatever you want to call yourself is fine. But when I started, we didn't have something like this. If you wanted to meet up with pagans, you had to go to like what was called a meetup or a moot or something. And it was always kind of sketchy. I remember I went to one and there was this drunk lady who just wouldn't leave me alone. It's like, so it's really nice to be able to communicate with people around the world using YouTube. So I think what we'll do is so we got introductions done. Is this format feels very kind of stiff to me, so I really don't like it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open it up so that we can talk about stuff. But I just want to say, well, first of all, how do people feel about that? Do people want to continue with this format, or do they just want to open it up? I'll start with you, Loveless.
It can be done either way.
Okay, what about you, Mad?
I say keep it as is, so that way everybody has, their say and no one's interrupting.
Okay, Mish?
I'm good with whatever.
Okay,
Open.
and Matt?
I would say keep it as is, but allow for maybe some interjections, like really short interjections.
Okay, Zabora?
I actually agree we should keep it as is, but instead of interjections, maybe we should allow follow-up questions or something like that.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So we'll keep it the way it is. So it sounds like it's okay. But yeah. So if you want to comment on something, like if somebody says something like, I was interested in what Mish said about the horse, what she was talking about with the horses, and I kind of wanted to say something, but then I was like, nope, shouldn't say anything. So if you do want to interject and it's related to the topic, that's fine. But keep it to relatively brief, and try to keep it to the topic at hand. So okay. So what I wanted to start this out with was talking about how there's St. Patrick's Day, which we just had yesterday. But then we also have the March Equinox, which is coming up soon. And I know that there's like Ostara is usually associated with Easter, March Equinox, but I've never really seen the parallel too close, especially for the European traditions. Like Britain, Ireland, Scotland, but I do see some kind of a similarity with St. Patrick's Day, which is, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to do some research on this, but I'm just wondering what other people think about like March Equinox and what it means to them or what they associate it with. So I guess we'll start with the Loveless and move our way down again.
I can begin?
Yep.
Well, personally, I haven't really had much of an experience with Ostara, even though I originally thought it was called Austria. I pretty much was more geared towards like the Candlemas thing. So I can't really comment on that. I pass.
All right. Okay. Matt?
Ostara to me,
Oops,
like
sorry.
a lot of people.
The other Matt. Mad. You're good.
Some people view the Samhain as the Celtic New Year, I viewed Astara as the new year, where everything's just now coming into bloom. It's the earth coming back to life. I always associate Astara with. I don't celebrate Astara. I celebrate the year. That's pretty much all I got to say about it.
Okay. Mish?
Pretty much just springtime, getting ready to do a lot of wild roasting and stuff like that. I don't celebrate Astara, so I'm actually interested to see what everybody has to say about it. So as for myself, it's just kind of getting ready to get out and be outside more and start planting, and as well as harvesting. And that's what I got to say about that.
Okay. And now, Matt.
Okay. So much pressure.
It's okay.
Well, I don't really celebrate Ostara, and that's mostly on account of inexperience, especially in group settings, because I'm used to group settings of celebration, mostly from years of childhood religion. But in terms of what I would like to do, especially this year, is just start some traditions of my own. Especially as an eclectic pagan, it's important that you research what you do, and then you think about what sort of traditions you want to start. I'm actually thinking about beginning to sow seeds in the garden, as well as possibly sow some new habits into my life. Possibly sow in exercising as a new habit that I could start. That's kind of important, and that's pretty much how I would usually celebrate.
Okay. And Zabora?
Well, actually, I've done some research on Ostara. So, from my understanding, what that was an actual mistranslation that a monk had done. I think it was in the 1800s or something like that. And so for me, it's like it's not really a holiday, but the significance of it being like birth, like Mad said, and associated with renewal. For me, this is the beginning of the year. So I celebrate March 21st as a time of renewal, and I wash my lodestones that I've been feeding all years in different spells around my altar. And it's just a time to like spiritually cleanse the house, spring cleaning, but I do it with magical intent too. So that's kind of what I do for Ostara. Me being Kemetic, I don't actually celebrate the ritual of that Wicca does, but it is something that is incorporated into my practice as a witch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's easy to get kind of centrist, especially around because the wheel of the year, the 8 Sabbats that everybody knows, not every pagan celebrates those. So we kind of get sort of I don't really want to say Wiccan centric because Druids celebrated and also other pagans too. But
okay, I didn't know that. I apologize. I apologize. I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, it's okay. I don't think you have to apologize for it. I was just I was actually just kind of going off of your comment. I was saying that it seems like people kind of assume that all pagans celebrate the 8 Sabbats, but not all pagans do, and definitely not all witches do. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I actually do see the similar. I see historical evidence for the celebration of a new year around Samhain time, especially in Ireland and some of the English or European traditions. But I also see how the March equinox around that time could be considered to be a new year. When we look at our day, our clock, the new day actually begins at midnight. It doesn't begin at 6 a.m. It begins at midnight. So if you look at the wheel of a year as sort of like a 24-hour calendar or a 24-hour calendar, it does sort of like you could see midnight being the beginning of the new day, which would be Samhain, but it could also be 6 a.m., which is sort of like March 21st. So that's kind of how I look at it. But historically, I don't know exactly when the supposed Celtic New Year was. They theorize it was Samhain, but they're not too sure. You want to add anything to that, Lovelace?
Not really.
Okay. Or Mad?
It seems to be a general consensus between pretty much everyone that, like you said, Logan, nobody really knows when ancient pagans celebrated the New Year's. And it really just depends on the individual, whether you celebrate the New Year's on Samhain or Ostara. Some people might even celebrate it during the summer. It's all up to the person.
Yeah, and Mish?
I'm good. I'm learning, and I'm really excited about it. I'm good.
Okay. And Matt?
You should probably just call me Kenny.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah. It'll just be easier. I agree with Matt in regards to it really does depend on tradition. I would say that it definitely also depends on the what you consider the most paramount in your symbolism. For example, if you are harvest centric, it makes the most sense that it would be Samhain. If you're like plant life centric, such as something, it's probably going to be one of the ones near the spring, because that's when the flowers start blooming, everything starts coming back. It makes the most sense in regards to that, but it really does depend on what symbolism you consider to be most important.
And Zabora?
I agree. I really do think it depends on what symbolism you find important. For me personally, I associate newness with the coming of spring, the birth of spring, when all of the flowers bloom and all of the babies are born. So since I choose that symbolism to be my sense of newness, that's why I would choose spring as beginning of the year and not logically the middle of winter like we do for our own calendar of January being the beginning of the year. So that's just me personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree. I mean, it's interesting because when Wicca sort of started moving out of the British Isles and kind of being adopted by other people, especially like in Australia and New Zealand and even in South America, it's completely different because their Samhain is actually our Beltane, and their Beltane is our Samhain. So theirs is flipped. So it's kind of like, it's weird to be celebrating, for example, the summer solstice when it's their winter solstice, and their autumn equinox when it's their spring equinox. So theirs is sort of flipped around. So they end up, at least in my opinion, if I was living in Australia, what I would do is I would celebrate Samhain May 1st, and then I would celebrate the spring equinox at September. That'd be September 21st. Yeah, it would be September 21st, because that would be their spring. So yeah, I think that one should sort of change their view of the seasons depending upon what's around them and what's going on around them. Like some people have decided to sort of change slightly depending upon the region that they're in, rather than base it upon what was created or what was formulated in England at that time, because their seasonal cycle won't match somebody who lives like in, South Texas. It's going to be quite different. Yeah. So, yeah. And then let's see, I guess, so did anybody else have any comments on that, or do we want to move on to something else?
Can we move on?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Wonderful.
All right. So, so then the other thing was, Saint Patrick. There's people who believe that Saint Patrick drove the snakes out of Ireland, and some people believe it was sort of a metaphor for the pagans. And then there's some people who say that also Saint Patrick slaughtered pagans. And from my knowledge, my understanding of it is that Saint Patrick, he didn't. There was no slaughter of pagans or druids. I think that St. Patrick, when he went to Ireland, because he was a slave, he was an English slave, when he came back to Ireland, he actually tried to just convert a lot of the pagans. But there were even missionaries who traveled to Ireland even before, well, when was he there? Like in 412 or 432? Maybe somebody can look it up in the chat. So,
On it.
what are your thoughts on that, Loveless?
Pretty much when you brought up Ireland, and this might sound a bit off topic, but just hear me out. When you brought up the word Ireland, I then connected it to some sort of practice called Wicca, which was some sort of tradition created by Edie McCoy, supposedly. Yeah, off topic. Yeah, move on. Well, I mean,
no, I was just going to say, sorry, I just had to interject. Yeah, Wicca is, I highly question it. Mad?
I'm with you on the whole Saint Patrick not slaying pagans. Me personally, I know how the language evolved and everything, and how back then they like to use a lot of metaphors. So driving the snakes could have meant before either driving out the ancient Druids, or nicer to think about is that yes, he probably did succeed in converting them, or at least integrating them into the Catholic faith. That's, I want to be half on this matter, but yeah, the slaughter, I don't think that's what it was. And I'm like, maybe not. You might want to dig a little deeper into what they actually mean, because again, they used a lot of metaphors back in the day.
And wholeheartedly agree with that, because any information that I've been privy to, I've never heard of the slaughter of pagans or anything like that. So I definitely agree that it must have been the metaphor, as well as agreeing with the fact that perhaps it was him either driving the pagans out of Ireland or trying to convert them to Christianity. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
I also have an agreement with that, all of that. Just, there was definitely not a slaughter. It was either driven out or more likely than not converted, or attempted conversion, whatever is the case. But the idea of the possibility of slaughtering, it's not likely at all.
Zabora?
See, okay, so my great grandmother was told that her great grandmother was a changeling, and I had asked my grandmother about the Irish people back then, because we have a very rich family lore. When I had heard in high school that St. Patrick's Day was a celebration of this guy who came to Ireland and killed all the pagans. So any real pagan wouldn't celebrate it. So I was very upset by this, because, hey, I'm Irish. We always celebrated St. Patrick's Day, and I talked to my grandmother. And she said that going back as far as they knew, family history-wise, there was no slaughter that they're aware of. That they had always celebrated St. Patrick's Day, and they can't remember a slaughter if there was one. So I have no evidence either way, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, when I saw that, I think I saw a post on Facebook about that, and I was kind of surprised about that. I know that he had St. Patrick supposedly. I mean, there's, especially with Irish mythology, you really kind of have to kind of take it sort of with a, with a healthy dose of somebody might be pulling your leg. And and so there's a lot of stories about, St. Patrick kind of like taking over the Druids and tricking them and doing all this stuff, but I never heard anything about any kind of a slaughter or anything like that. I think that, like everywhere in Europe, I think there was just Christianity just sort of came in, and it just sort of slowly kind of incorporated itself into the citizens, and then over time, your neighbors become Christians, your relatives become Christians, and then next thing you know, you're becoming a Christian, you're going to church, but you're still sort of celebrating the old ways, and that's probably how our the pagan celebrations got mixed in with the Christian celebrations. And it just became, it wasn't like people knew like, oh, that's pagan and this is Christian. It just became like, well, this is what we do. We go to church on Sunday, but then we also celebrate this on the harvest or whatever. So it just sort of naturally, I believe it's just naturally evolved that way. So pretty much what I got to say to that.
Can I add something on?
Yeah, of course.
So Zabor mentioned something about changelings, and then I remembered something that I learned way back ago, and there was something called the Tuatha De Danann, which were a race of like human/fairy creatures that did something called the Battle of Ireland, but lost and retreated to a world called Tir na Nog, where they supposedly still live. And yes, I got it from Eden McCoy.
Yeah, Eden McCoy. Eden McCoy needs to study Irish mythology better. You're partially correct.
Yay.
Yeah. Anybody else have any comments?
I do.
Slight one. Oh.
Oh, go
Who was
ahead.
that?
No, it's fine.
Was that you, Zabora?
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I did have a comment, and then I got lost on track. Hold on just a second. What were we talking about?
Well, if you don't know what we were talking about, Zabora, then you obviously don't have a comment.
No, I'm sorry. Loveless distracted me with the nonsense about the fairy creatures. Sorry.
That's in his defense, he was just reading an author who had incorrect information.
That's what it was. You know what gets me really mad? It's this crap about how Christians, when they converted people, they did these nasty things, and they put people on the rack in the Middle Ages, and somehow because we're pagan, we need to be peace-loving assholes, and everything's love, light, and unicorn shit. But they act like pagans were never forceful people. There were hostile takeovers of the pagan variety dating back way past the Roman period. So I don't understand this whole hate on Christianity in regards to them being a war religion, and that's how they can get their converts, is they have to scare the shit out of people. So
yeah. Are you talking about the around between the 13th and 16th century? You're talking about before that?
Yeah, no, that's what I was talking about. People think that that's how Christians got their converts out of pagans. They put them on the rack, and they said, "Love my God or else." But they act like pagans haven't done that before either. I mean, the Egyptians were a brutal race that conquered all of the Blue Nile. Look at the Romans. They worshipped many gods, and they marched all across Asia and conquered all of the land, you know? So it's just something that irritates me when people say that Christianity only gets converts through war, and pagans never did.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anybody else have any comments on that?
Nope.
Okay. So I was just going to talk about the Tuatha De Danann. So there were several races from the Labor Gabala. It's basically the Book of Invasions. There's 4 races that came to Ireland. The first 2 were the Fomorians, the Furballs, and then the Tuatha De Danann. And the Tuatha De Danann were gods. And they were the gods Ogmus, Lu, Nuada, Danu, Balor, all these various Irish gods. And later on, when the Milesians came, the Tuatha De Danann went into the earth, went into the mounds, and later they became the fairies or the people of the Sidhe, and they went into the Tirna land. But there's actually very many different lands. There's Tirna na Nog, Tirna na Sidhe, Tirn Taragair. There's all the, and then a bunch of names I can't use, where they went into these mounds and lived underground supposedly, or actually in the other world. And so the Tuatha De Danann were gods. They were considered to be the gods of the Irish, and then they were kind of diminished down to fairies. A good example of that is the god Lulam Fada, who became the Luprechaun or Leprechaun as we know it today. So, yeah, Eden McCoy kind of needs to do some more research. Let me see.
I was gonna say a slight tangent.
Good.
Mostly in regards to St. Patrick. Actually, we're at a.
So right now we're in the. I go to a school in the middle of nowhere of central Missouri. It is an engineering school, and we've had the last 2 days off of school because the St. Pat's is a really big thing here because St. Patrick is the patron saint of engineers. So it's basically an excuse for 4 days in a row of drinking here at a college campus.
Nice.
That's funny as fuck. That's all I gotta say. And good on you for getting into engineering. I'm in a STEM field myself.
Nice.
What's interesting is that like every single time we go out, we're driving and we see people just like walking along the sides of the road, and we're like, drunk people.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't like to be around drunk people anymore. It's like just drunk people are just annoying to me now.
Yeah, I don't drink. I drunk mom a lot though.
Yeah, he's always the DD.
Oh, designated driver.
I technically had a bit Thursday, but like I had a bit Thursday, but like I didn't get belligerent until the end of the night.
40% turned at most.
The best way I can describe the feeling is when you get lightheaded and like you move your head and the world just tilts.
Yeah.
Like after that, I told my aunt, "No, I'm never gonna drink again. Never again."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can kind of just open it up. But the last thing I was going to say about what Zabora had mentioned about Christian converts. Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard anybody talk about pagans being put on a rack. I know that a lot of the Christian crusaders conquered lands, and we were converted or various people were converted to Christianity that way. I'm sure that even before that, pagans were going around possibly trying to convert people that way, but I don't think, especially except Rome. Rome was they were pretty imperialistic. So pretty much everywhere that they conquered, they left their imprint and tried to convert people to their ways. And for some cultures, it was a benefit. For other cultures, it was not so much of a benefit. But I know between the 13th and 16th century is what they call the burning times, or when a lot of people were accused of witchcraft and then burnt at the stake or hung. But I don't think that was a conversion. I think that was just like they were just torturing them to get a confession out of them, because they couldn't sentence them without a confession. So they had to get a confession out of them first.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. But yeah.
Well, here, actually, Matt, hold on for 1 sec. I'm gonna go down the line again. Sorry, Loveless. Did you want to say anything on that?
Oh, yes, of course. So I'm going to kind of refer back a bit early-ish to what you mentioned about the Tuatha. The name, if I remember clearly from my research, Tuatha De Danann translates to children of Danu, and then Danu is actually considered to be the mother of the Tuatha, supposedly.
Okay.
That's it.
Oh, okay. Okay, Matt. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, when it came to conversions with the Christian philosophy, I've never ever read anything about them being violent in the conversion. For instance, if you take the early conversions of Rome, started to celebrate certain aspects of the Roman culture, the Roman pagan culture. The churches had gargoyles on them. They started having their weekly service on Sunday instead of Saturday, and that's why practitioners of Christianity worship on Sunday instead now. But integrated process than a complete and total war and takeover. So that's like threw me off, is when Zavora said that there are people out there who are saying Christians are like in their conversions. I think what they were confusing of cultures to the burning times. Were a horrible people, horrible time for, and even Christians who were accused of being witches. What I find funny is that the majority of people who were burnt at the stake weren't even witches; they were Christians. I find that absolutely. However, if you ever read the Witch's Hammer, it gives you nightmares. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. And Mish?
All I can add to is that fear is a great controlling force. Whether the information is valid or not valid at all, it still puts the fear in people and keeps them in line. So whether, in this case, racking people and everything else is true or not, it's still got a message across. And still, like, fear is a great controlling force. And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. And Kenny?
I have absolutely no idea what to input here. I'm just most of my experience in the realm of doing a lot of my history is stuff relating to both crusades as well as stuff regarding the burning times. And mind you, the area where I base most of my pagan roots from was technically in the midst of, like, kind of in an intersection of the two, because a majority of my tradition is taken from Lithuanian culture, And Lithuania was one of the last pagan nations to be converted over to Christianity, but it was also in the midst of the burning times. So it was a bit like it's kind of difficult to tell if, in my case, if it was a combination, if it was one or the other, if it was some other strange factor. But all in all, I still do agree that fear is one of those things that can really hammer in a point, even if that point doesn't really have a point.
Hammering in non-points.
Yeah, hammering in blunt nails, so to speak.
Okay, and Zabora?
Yeah, my comment's twofold. Earlier to the part about the fairies, the reason why my great-grandmother's great-grandmother was said to have been part of the changeling is because she supposedly had second sight. I think that was just their way to explain away her supposed ability, and it just became legend in our family. But yeah, that's just that. The other thing is like the most of the people that I've heard this Christians are all violent and they only want violence and to convert us through violence is from those that are kind of new to the craft. The fluffy bunny stage kind of that every new pagan seems to go through. It's nothing to be ashamed of, it's just something that needs to be corrected. So yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would really like to believe that Christians have always been nonviolent. Unfortunately, Christians today are not really violent per se, not as violent as some of the other monotheistic religions, but their attitude towards pagans is pretty fucked up.
Aggressive.
My whole channel is dedicated to that. So if this is any indication of what they've been like in past times that I have absolutely no knowledge of, they were probably doing something to try and convert people to their ways, because Satan, either Satan or it's God. Those are one of the two ways. So if you're not worshiping God, you're worshiping Satan. So yeah. I think that hold on a second, Sabora. I think you are correct. I don't think that Christians were going around putting knives to people's throats saying, hey, stop worshiping the rock and worship God or I'll kill you. But I do believe that there was pressure put on people to stop practicing whatever it is that they were practicing and get their ass into church. And yeah, I think I'm done with that.
No, I do agree with you. And there has been those cases. My husband, he's an islander. And when the missionaries came, it was, you want food? You want food? Yeah, read the Bible. Here's the Bible, So that definitely does happen. There has to be some incentive to switch. Otherwise, why would you switch? But it is a natural process that they do blend. And today we have pagan practices combined with Christian ones, like putting up the Yule tree, that kind of thing. So I do agree with you. There has to be incentive, but I don't think. I think a lot of it stems from the Roman Catholic, because Rome was such a brutal force, and when they converted to Christianity, that stuff exploded. So there definitely has to be some incentive. I am agreeing with you on that. It just I find that there's a lot of just blame being put where it doesn't belong.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Anything to add to that, Loveless?
The only thing I'm going to say is you're free to practice whatever you want. Just don't spread misinformation and don't try and force it on people.
Mad?
We have done many shows on the Heathen Haven channel. Loken does a great job with this subject on his own channel. I should start doing it myself. I do a few of them, but yes, the whole misinformation, the biased, it needs to stop. People like myself and like Loken going out spreading misinformation about the Christian religion to the source of the Christian religion or any sources. And so we don't use our own against the religion, if there is any, to and make it sound like Christianity is this one big evil conglomerate of pieces of shit. That's not our job. That's not what we want to do. You know, like Lovelace said, you know, we live in America. We have the right as a free people to do whatever the fuck we want with anybody else.
And Mish?
Research is, we're all entitled to believe what we want to believe, but based on your research, you decide what the truth is for yourself. So based on that, like, you need to research and research and research and then make your own decision and then have a valid opinion. And that's all I got to say about that.
Kenny?
It's always a difficult subject to tackle this because it's a very touchy territory for some. On one hand, you have to go with the simple understanding that you're entitled to believe what you want to believe. At the same time, the belief only really extends to the edges of yourself. And my thoughts about it are the point of research is not only to discover what's out there, but also what's within, what you can find introspection-wise. And if you don't introspect, then you're kind of just following something completely blind, not knowing what you're doing. Because, like, if you don't believe some of the things that your group teaches, or like for example, if you don't even agree with something, like I always see those people and I say, how do you live with that? Like, how, like, there are groups of people out there who are incredibly, or at least their doctrine is relatively anti-LGBT, for example, and yet they're the type of people who are like, oh no, I'm totally LGBT friendly, but I'm also super religious. And I'm like, but that's a contradiction. You need to look inside yourself and ask yourself how you really feel about this. And it's always an issue that, like, if they don't know themselves, and if you don't know yourself, I've always felt like it's kind of blinding. Really blinding. Really, really blinding. Jeez. I don't know.
All right. Okay. Was that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. And Zabora?
I definitely agree. I think everyone deserves to be crazy in private, you know, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. But since we're kind of on the subject, like, of Christianity, my original point was, you know, people are evil no matter what religion they're in, and they do quite bad things. And us as an evolved society can look back upon the Bible and see the atrocities that it's filled with. You know, God told Moses, "Thou shalt not kill," and then when he came down from the mountain, they were worshiping a golden calf, and God said, "Kill those motherfuckers," and they wiped out 1/3 of their brothers. They don't teach you that in Sunday school, but it's in there. So I think it's very easy to say that it's a brutal religion. But so long as we approach, no matter the religion, in a modern context and try not to infringe upon anybody physically, I think we should all have the right to do whatever the hell we want, religiously or non-religiously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting because I heard several people talk about like research and finding what, doing research and finding what is, I don't know, quote unquote true. So maybe what we can do is segue into like what do people consider to be like, what is valid research? What is real? What defines, like, what would make something incorrect and what would make something correct? It's kind of, I've always found this kind of a gray area because there's a lot of practices that people practice that I myself think is just, I think they're ridiculous. I mean, I'm just going to be honest here, but I won't tell that to them. I won't say that to their face. I won't like openly laugh at them and say, ha ha, that's ridiculous. But in the back of my mind, I'm sitting there going, how the fuck does that work? I mean, even though I practice magic and people laugh at my practice, there's still in my mind, I still try to keep it grounded in some kind of a reality. And so I'm just wondering what people think about that. Like for their own personal practice, what do they think is valid? What do they consider sort of invalid? And maybe what we can do on this topic is not really like judge somebody's practice as silly and say what it is, but maybe just from our point of view, what we think about if it's valid or not valid for our personal practice. So what do you think about that, Lovelace?
Okay. Hey, so much to put in. Okay, well, the first thing I would say is that if you're going to do some research, then for first to have incorrect information, why not try and go on like a mostly Christian-oriented site and just see what they say? And then if you maybe want to try and find some correct information, why not try and go on a pagan website and just see what they say? Or if you could, try to find a website that's neutral and the people that make the article is not religious in any way, but they have some sort of history and or background about it. And then when you also brought up about judging someone based on their practice, this is not directed at anyone. This is just directed in general. No one is in no place to judge anyone based upon their own practice, principle, beliefs, or morals. And I'm done with my rant.
Okay. All right. Mad?
It's kind of like the, half of my video, a coin, about the duality of human nature. When you go out and do your research, it's the same exact concepts. The duality of human nature is always going to give you both right and wrong information. You want wrong information, go to a Christian website. You want right information, go to the pagan website. In some way, a half-truth. Christian websites do promote false information, but then again, so does a lot of. I've noticed that in my research. To an unbiased research, you do want to get both sides of the coin. You want to get both sides of the arguments and come to your own conclusion. This is relative truth. Then segues me into the person's own particular practice. This panel right here has a very, very wide margin of people. We have a Wiccan, we have someone who practices the Egyptian, we have a few eclectics on this panel right now. Can't always know exactly what goes on if we didn't study it. That's why when we're on Heathen Haven and something Egyptian pops up, we're like, fuck, where's Zabora? Obviously has more information about the subject than we do. When I'm confused about something about the Wiccan tradition, because he knows more than I do. When you get that good mix of information going right to the source or to somebody who knows the subject. And it's not, it may not be true to you. Truth, they know what they're talking about, and you should. That's the only way you could do unbiased research. And don't criticize what they say. Take it in, learn from it, and come to your own conclusions. That's the only way anybody can do anything in this world.
Okay. And Mitch?
It's all good. I'm the type of person that I have to kind of see it to believe it. I like things to be tangible and right in front of me. So in regards to that, I know there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of good information out there, but it's all personal opinion and what you choose to believe. But for me, usually if I find something to be true or true for me, it has to be tangible, and I have to actually experience it or see it in order for it to be true. And that's what I have to say about that.
Okay. And Kenny?
When it comes to your research, especially if you're doing stuff that is going to be more advanced and complex, a simple quick search on Wikipedia is going to do you very little, if anything, really. And most of the stuff that I like to research, surprisingly, what you can do if you're going to be using Wikipedia to do your research, there's a lovely section down near the bottom that has all the resources, and most of them are usually scholarly or peer-reviewed articles that you can look through. And these are usually done by professors of theology, of religious studies, of philosophy, things like that. And those are incredibly helpful, especially in regards to modern day religious practices. There's a lot that you can look through, and you'll be able to see that. If by chance, like, if there happens to be like a college student who's watching this, usually most schools have a database that you can look up the scholarly articles in. If you are another person, you may be able to find such PDFs online. You may be able to find it in Google Scholar, things like that. But normally I usually go for peer-reviewed articles because they're things that are reviewed by a panel of people rather than something written by a single guy on Saturday night while he's boozing it up.
And Zabora?
I'm gonna have to agree with Matt on this. I think that there's a lot of websites, and just everybody who can type has a book any day, anywhere today. So it's a little hard to say what you can do for like truth. What I personally do is I like to keep it kind of scientific. And for specifically research, archaeological research is very important to me because my pagan path left behind a lot of archaeological research. But I was just talking about this with a druid. I'm like, how do you justify your path? Where do you get your path from if it was all oral? And he says, well, it comes from a lot of family lore. You have to examine what artifacts were left behind, what jewelry was left behind, songs that may, still be sung, pieces of pagan history that your family carries. You have to take all that into consideration. And then there's also the merging of where faith comes in. But that's different. So I think the only thing that you can do is take the facts and weigh them against your own morality, and incorporate them into your chosen religion. My only thing would be, don't take one expert into consideration. Like, I love that you guys consider me your Egyptian expert, but there are people that disagree with me. So I think that it's important to take another perspective at all times, especially when you're talking about a very wide topic. So, like, on your thoughts on deity, like, how do you see deity, and why do you see deity that way? I think it's important to talk to many people to get an understanding of the basic concept, and then add your own flair and adapt it to how you do your thing. So that's all.
Okay. So it sounds like you're saying, Laura, that we shouldn't listen to you anymore.
No. I'm very meticulous. So yeah,
I'm kidding.
I kind of want to elaborate on Kenny's thing about the college thing. She absolutely right. When I started college, the very first thing they told me not to do when doing a research paper is go to Wikipedia or do a simple Google search. Don't do that. And if you do, you got to do all this cross-referencing and everything. Like I said, I'm taking a STEM field. I'm going into the IT field. And we had to the differences and benefits between LAN and WAN. I had to do 3 days of research just to get everything. When after all of that, I realized I could have done that in an hour. And it was because I was using Google. It just makes everything a lot harder when you use sites like Wikipedia, where everybody is an expert. So it's completely right.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting to hear what people would get everybody's input in this. But one of the things I was thinking about was like what makes, because I think there is, to a certain degree, there is research that we need to do. Like, let's say, for example, research into what the March equinox means. What does Ostara mean? What does this mean? What does that mean? And I think to a certain extent there's a fine balance between that research, scholarly research into our own path, what we're practicing, what we believe in, and how we want to observe the various holidays. But I think then there's another point where you have to kind of let that go and sort of just find what speaks to you, because obviously if you're doing research in an area that doesn't speak to you, like you find it's nice to find out that information, but it doesn't really give you that connection that you want to feel with your concept of deity, then it doesn't really do you any good. So I think for myself personally, it's always just kind of this fine juggling act between what is anchored in research and what is kind of like how I just kind of have to let it go and just sort of practice what I identify with, kind of like letting that objectivity seep into that subjectivity. What do you think about that, Loveless?
Oh, I don't have a comment.
Oh, okay. You're quiet today, huh?
Well, what?
I'm just messing with you.
Oh, I know.
Mad?
I completely agree with it. It is there is a difference between objectivity and bias. And like you said, it really depends on what speaks to you, and that's the reason why the pagan community is so diverse in beliefs. You know, certain aspects of the world appeal more than others. For instance, I'm a nerd. I like playing D&D. The next person can absolutely hate playing D&D and would rather, you know, a car engine. You know, and you know, so me, I'm not into cars. I'm not going to go study cars. I'm going to be interested in. I want to lose focus on it and then completely ignore it and fuck it off, and then biased in that way. So I completely agree with Lilokin on this matter.
Okay. Let me see. And Mish.
Whatever resonates with you. So if you have interest in something, that's absolutely wonderful, but it needs to resonate within you. So if you're going to devote your time and energy and everything else to something and want to draw all these good things to you, then it has to be analyzed, and you have to have interest in it. And I know with myself, I have a lot of dedication and ambition. So if I'm going to follow through with something, I better have the interest in it, because then you're more than likely going to stick to it. But like I said before, it has to do with what makes sense to you and what can be proven to you, because then you internalize it, you make it your own, and it's important to you. And that's what I have to say about that.
Mm-hmm. Kenny?
And I agree with a lot of these points. On an anecdotal level, I could say that when it came to dealing with a lot of the stress and the cognitive dissonance of being in the religion that I used to belong to, I used to be Roman Catholic. It was really hard because there were a lot of things in the scope of it that didn't line up, and that's why I left in the first place, is because I think what did it for me was that I was told by the priest that relationships between two members of the same sex, because they couldn't have children, were sinful, because it was all done for pleasure. So I think that's most of the reason why I quit, why I just decided I can't. And on top of that, I was already having questioning my own sexuality, my own gender identity, things like that, and I realized that it wasn't right for me, because if I kept doing that, I would be living a lie. And the thing is that when you live a lie, you're kind of just the only person you're really deceiving is yourself. And if you deceive yourself, then it's hard for you to know yourself if you keep lying to yourself.
I could agree with that.
Zabora?
I agree with you guys. I think it's important that you have a connection with what you're doing. I think that's why it's really important to know yourself. Like, do a lot of self-exploration, like what resonates with you, what symbols you like to use, that kind of thing. But as to the whole living in sin thing for the Roman Catholics, I have a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a straight woman, and I am unable to naturally have children. So, am I automatically sinful?
Yeah, that's actually something that I actually had to bring up, and that's the reason why they brought the priest in to begin with, because I had been arguing with this person. Usually we have like 2-hour sessions every Wednesday, and this was the second Wednesday that we were on this topic, and I had spent the entirety of the last session and the entirety of this session before the priest finally came down and just laid it all out, and I shut up at that point because I didn't want to fight the battle anymore. But that's actually something that it also does depend on, in terms of interpretation solely from the Roman Catholic perspective. It really does depend on whether or not you're speaking from a modern perspective or from the old perspective, because like women were kind of second class, not really kind of, they were second class citizens in the olden times, and so it was a lot of it was just about, can you bear children? No. Go. Like, it's awful. It was awful. And that was also another reason why, is because I don't know if I can bear children, but I don't want to bear children. And so that would actually also fall into the category of being bad, because I'm not fulfilling that purpose of bearing children. Yeah. So that's actually an interesting question.
Does the Catholic Church say anything about about that, Zabora?
About burning children?
Yeah, I've never heard that.
I'm not sure. Well, I mean, I guess the automatic answer is we're all sinners anyway, so there don't be a
Right.
for the homosexual people. But I'm like, well, if I'm having sex with my husband only for pleasure, do I have to account for that sin? I'm not sure about that, but I guess if I'm just an actual born sinner anyway, I gotta apologize for being alive no matter what. So fuck, whatever.
Yeah, and
I've had that,
like that does suck.
so I understand that.
Yeah. So let me see. So that's kind of interesting. I think that it seems like if you look at two of the big monotheistic religions, Christianity and Islam, both of those religions, in my opinion, my perspective on them, is that they are very controlling. They tell you how you have to live your life. They tell you what your purpose is, what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to dress, how you're supposed to act in the bedroom, how you're supposed to eat, all of these things. It controls it. And even Judaism to a certain extent, but I think Judaism a little less controlling than that.
Depends on what type.
Yeah, but it seems like a lot of other paths are very much into enlightenment. They're more interested in kind of like finding, looking, seeking. And it's interesting. It's kind of like you talk with the Christian, they've got it. They know. You know, it's like, okay, these people are telling me to look for something, and then you're telling me, oh no, here it is. It's all here. It's in this book. Go ahead, read it, follow it to the T, or you're going to burn in hell. And that's just kind of like how they lay it out.
The only comment I just have to say, they really tell you how you should eat?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, right around now it's Lent, so on Fridays you're not supposed to have red meat or any sort of thing. You're only allowed to have fish.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought you meant like that way. I thought you meant like what kind of fork you should use, what kind of spoon you should use, or what kind of knife you should use. Oh, I thought you meant that.
Okay. Mad? Do you want to say anything? He just told me his beard.
Yeah, my beard was getting kind of tangled up and it was getting annoying.
That's all right.
You gotta take care of such glory.
Okay.
Oh, I put my beard up on a pedestal. I know I shouldn't, but it's my ego. So, but the controlling nature, Christianity. Within my lifetime, it has lessened a little bit. Getting in with the times. But at the same time, they themselves follow everything to the T. You know, I've done videos on this, like Logan's done some videos on it. I know a lot of other channels that have done videos on it, and every single time bring up anything that debunks not following their own book to the T, they'll say something like, oh, well, you're reading it wrong, or, well, look, you know, so it's all on how sects view the Bible or how they read the Bible, how they interpret the Bible. That is a real big problem within their community. In order for them to be
David.
the religion they want to be, to realize this fault within themselves, like Logan said, you know, we have the answer. Kind of is really what's hurting them. In a lot of cases, it's perfectly fine to say little words, just 3 little words. Don't know. can admit that you don't know, your life is going to be so much better. And then later on, go figure the fuck out. But I'm done.
Okay, so I'm just going to interrupt for 1 second because we just had David join us. So David, it's kind of like a different format than I'm usually doing. What I'm doing is we're kind of like going down the line. What we did earlier was we briefly introduced ourselves. So do you want to go ahead and do that? And then yeah, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, my name is David Excalibur. I am a Wiccan, also an occultist, and eclectic, specifically. And I basically enjoy anything to do with mythology, the mythos, anything that's considered forbidden knowledge. I seek that because I believe that any type of historical knowledge that was written down deserves to be heard and to be remembered. It's my introduction.
All right. And so what we're doing right now is we're talking about, I forgot what we were talking. We were talking about sort of how the monotheistic religions in particular, say Christianity and Islam, and to a certain extent Judaism, put restrictions on, maybe not restrictions is the best way to say it, but they kind of already tell us how we're supposed to live. They have the answer, whereas there's other religions like, say, Hinduism, Buddhism, where it's kind of like you're looking for the knowledge. It's kind of like an enlightenment sort of path, whereas in Christianity, they say, oh, we've got it all figured out. It's all in this book. Here, read it. And so that's kind of what we're talking about. What are your thoughts on that?
It is a big difference between basically the monotheistic religions, basically the Abrahamic religions, and the pagans. Basically, that's any religion that's not of the Abrahamic religions. A big difference. And the Abrahamic religions, the Abrahamic followers who believe that they do have it right, for some reason want to spread their word, which is fine with everybody, but want to force it on other people and want to judge and subjugate other people mainly because they believe that they have them wrong is entirely in the wrong, and I guess most of us would agree on that. But you are right. Though those who follow the pagan traditions or anything that's not of the Abrahamic religions follow enlightenment, as I heard. Seek to better oneself or to find the truth in life or in the afterlife, either or. My thoughts on the reason why people want to follow the Abrahamic religions is because when you have two options, one that's claiming we don't have the answers but we're seeking, as opposed to one that says we do have the answers, and if you follow us, you got a better chance of going to a wonderful place. Nobody wants to read the fine print. Nobody wants to see how it works, how the cogs work. No, they just want to get the results. So I think that's why.
Okay. All right, Mish?
Regarding that,
Uh,
what really bothers me is fake people who are hypocrites. So people who do as I say, not as I do. So regarding that, I can say people who are, a good example is they claim to have all this knowledge about fitness, health, wellness, and herbology and things like that. And they're trying to help people. But yet sitting there handing back like ice cream sandwiches and all sorts of things like that. And they don't put effort into what they're preaching about. So regarding religion, if you're going to follow a book or follow a certain path, and you're telling other people to follow this book or this certain path, then you better be able to back it up. Otherwise, you're just going to be a hypocrite. And that's, I have to say, if you can back, that's absolutely wonderful. And if that's your true path, absolutely. But if you're going to be saying something loud and saying something really upfront and you're not following through with it, that's I do have a problem with it, and that's just my personal opinion.
Mhm. All right, Kenny.
Being a religious studies major, it's actually interesting to see all the areas where the beliefs are synchronized. Like in terms of the Abrahamic faiths, since they all stem from the same group, they all are basically presupposed to have the same deity. Even though the deity is within different contexts. There are also a lot of interest, but like every single time that I go out of my way to I hear the random layman out there saying, "Oh no, their god isn't the real god," or like especially between Islam and Christianity right now because they are butting heads like crazy. But they tend to throw the idea of things back at each other. And mind you, there are some interesting things that I've been reading so far because I've made a self-imposed goal to read as many different religious texts as humanly possible. So right now I'm actually reading through the Quran, and it's an interesting book, I'll tell you that, but it's very, very long. It's probably about as thick as the 2 different Bibles that I have back home because I like to do my research. But when it comes to it, a lot of the interesting things in regards to it is that there are hypocritical things within. I would say that there are probably hypocritical things within every faith. It's just the degree by which they are hypocritical is vastly different. Oh no.
I think you needed to take a call.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yay!
Yay.
Wasn't it?
Eh,
Was it my turn next? I forgot.
you can go.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can go.
Today, with the idea about hypocritical, not so much agreeing with that. I can understand that. When I was little, we
Sorry,
had
I have to interrupt for 1 second. Hey, sorry, I have to interrupt for 1 second. I have to take a call. It's very, very important. So go ahead and continue talk. I'm going to be back in probably a few minutes. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Meow.
Carry on. Sorry.
When I was little, we went to a church, and at this church we weren't allowed to have a TV. And maybe we went there for I think about 2 months or so. And we were invited over to the pastor's house. The pastor had a TV in his house, and his excuse was, you have to know what the enemy was saying. So it's like, well, fuck you guys. We want TV back. So we left that church. So there is definitely a fracture in the community of every religion. But what can you do about that? Everyone has their own personal choice on what they do. The Bible itself, it's so controlling, and they know it's controlling. They even admit, there's nothing that you can do. You're automatically a sinner because Adam and Eve and the fruit. So it's just, for me, Christianity is a religion that's focused on apologizing and the afterlife and the award for the apologizing. Whereas paganism tends to kind of follow the line of learning through life and celebrating life and enjoying the afterlife because we did go through life. So that's my opinion.
Okay.
And then it was I think it was Logan's turn, so I don't know.
Your Skype is going on.
So it must be mine then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Dang, I forgot what we was all ranting and bantering on about. So,
How Christianity or Abrahamic religions are controlling.
oh yes, 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 yes. Now we're back to where we started. Okay. So personally, what I really don't like about the Abrahamic religions is how they use fear to in some way control and manipulate its followers. And then what Zabor said earlier about not having television, like if that was the case, then why in the world there's so many like, well, used to be like people that would advertise Christianity all over television to say, send us money, send us money.
That's a different sect. It's just like you have traditional Wiccans and you have eclectic Wiccans. It's still Wicca, and they follow a basic format. It's just a different belief. That's all.
All right.
Just different sects.
Statement finished.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, we're going back and forth on calling people out. Elaborate a little bit more on a good point. It's the fear system that keeps them in place, basically. Dictators done it throughout history. Look at Stalin. You know, it's the same. It's the same way when it comes to Abrahamic faiths. It's or you're going to a bad place. You know, it's was a kid and still practicing Christian into Yu-Gi-Oh. You know, I mean, what the fuck kid didn't back then? You know, my grandma, huge Christian freak. Those are devils. Those are demons. You're inviting demons. Blah 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 blah. Have my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I couldn't have my Goosebumps books, and it's like all these things. Benign. Works of art. Still, Christians' minds. I'm not saying all, but in some Christians' minds are still just infested pieces of cardboard.
Matt,
To promote that fear. To promote that fear that this little is going to fuck your entire life up from life itself. It takes away from experiencing things for yourself to your own conclusion through research. Go ahead, Loveless. I think you wanted to make a point.
Yes, thank you. Because you actually just reminded me of something else. When you said that you was a child and the Yu-Gi-Oh thing, that actually reminded me of that documentary with the children that was going to this really conservative church. And I remember there was like this giant lady that was pretty much running the whole thing. And she would say, warlocks are enemies of God.
Oh God, not Jesus camp.
Honestly, those children look possessed when they start praying in tongues. And yeah, I'm done.
What's funny is that there was a person in my class when I saw that in a class, and she actually has proper licensing to take care of children, and she's like, yeah, those are not faces of passion. Those are faces of pure and unadulterated fear. Like, I don't know. Like, I made him suffer through it.
Aw.
And I've suffered through it twice, and mind you, the first time, I actually put that on as a game for myself to see how long before I get agitated, and my record is about 23 minutes and 42 seconds.
But what actually was really concerning, and you're going to probably think I'm absolutely crazy for saying this, but it almost looked like he was rewatching The Exorcist again, but over 50 different times.
That's how I felt.
All right.
I'm so glad I was
sorry about that. I had
Welcome back.
Yeah, I had to take a call, so
It's okay.
What did I miss?
We was bantering on
We're
about
talking
The Exorcist.
about the horrifying documentary known colloquially as Jesus Camp.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. That is scary. Basically, those kids were kidnapped.
They weren't kidnapped.
Huh?
They weren't kidnapped.
No,
That
it's a
was
different.
kidnapped for Christ.
No, they were
Oh
kidnapped.
God. Yeah.
Okay.
They were taken there against their will.
Like Logan, once I turn 21, I'm turning that documentary into a drinking game, I swear.
Have fun.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna use as my criteria, though.
Well, I mean, fear's a powerful weapon, so you gotta. I've had that preacher fight, like I said earlier, where it was just, well, it's just demons trying to get you, and be afraid of the demons, and it's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, I'm science here. Why are you throwing demons at me? Be real. So fear is a great motivator for that kind of stuff, and I think Christianity really relies heavily upon that. Like you said,
You have an echo, Zabora. Do you have headphones?
You'll have Satan and the pit of fire. So be afraid and do what they tell you, but you'll never be able to. So be afraid and apologize. Whole thing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Can I just say one last comment?
No.
Huh?
No, you can't.
All right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Good.
Loveless.
Personally, if I was going to be sent to hell, I'll have fun there because at least I'll be seeing all of you, especially David.
Matt, I owe you a beer down in hell.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of like, I don't know why religion got so involved in our sex lives. I mean, I can kind of understand, like, yeah, don't eat pork because if you don't cook it well enough, there's probably, you probably get sick. And
bloodborne illness.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain things you can kind of understand, like why it's not a good thing, But why did they get so involved in our sex lives? I mean, it's just that's the other thing that I just don't understand. That's why it makes me think that a lot of Christianity and Islam, and to a certain extent Judaism, is so involved in control. It's just control. Because if you think about what aspects of people's lives are like most important to them, reproduction, food, I mean, it just seems like every important aspect of your life, they have to have some kind of a say in it. What do you think about that, David?
It's a way of controlling. Trying to reel in the sheep. Basically, the essentials in life, such as food, sex, way of survival, reproduction, sleep, there's all rules for every bit of that, and by putting rules on that, you have followers that are sheep that will follow it. Don't know if there's like some alternative motive for like maybe one person that has tried to put this all together and such. But the thing is, it doesn't make any sense by these rules. You can't enjoy sex, and sex is only for reproduction. It makes no sense. If it feels great, if it's a way of life and is needed, why not enjoy doing what is needed, what is part of life? A lot of questions that bring that up. But as I said, it's just a way of reeling in the sheep. And as a lot of the Abrahamic followers have stated, quote, we are sheep of the shepherd or the Lord. Unquote.
What sheep?
Yep.
The followers.
Oh.
Christian followers count themselves as sheep.
Oh, I thought you meant the sheep I ate. I'm joking.
Oh god.
Loveless?
Yes.
Did I miss something?
I don't know.
Today, Junior. Your
I don't
thoughts
know.
on the subject.
She's just laughing away. She's making up her own dialogue.
I feel so alive.
Okay, Lovelace, do you have anything to say on that, or you want to pass?
Let's pass.
Okay.
Also,
Matt?
did you turn off your webcam?
I don't think he can see you.
Mad?
I can see you.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
he just dropped out.
Oh
Yeah. Bye. See you, Lovelace.
Still has a
Next
link,
time.
so.
no! Oh God.
Them getting into your bedroom. Personally, I eat the booty like groceries. I don't care what anybody fucking says. To controlling even the simple aspect of your sex life. I understand back then it was, humans had it rough. The average lifespan for a male was like 40 some years. The average life expectancy for a woman was the moment she gave birth. In order to keep species alive, yes, reproduction was a very, very important. Certain cultures had certain ways of reproduction. The Christians would rather you do it missionary, so you're kind of romantic if you think about it. You have you have, like I said, different cultures way. The Japanese still have sex lodges where it's just basically just one massive orgy with one partner, but next to another, group of people. So kind of weird, but today's day and age, we don't need to have those reproductive restrictions. Oh, we don't. Honestly, call me an asshole, but we don't need to keep reproducing right now at the rates. We're already taking up too much of this, and fuck, yeah, wear a condom, birth control, whatever type of birth control you have. Enjoy the life you have been given. It's that whole controlling the sex. It just pisses me off. I want to fuck the way I want to fuck. Plain and simple.
All right. Mish?
Regarding that, it's kind of a side note, not sex related. I was just thinking about it, about eating pork, and not sex related, but if you were to eat corn, and corn is grown in shit, you'd be consuming the DNA of a pig. That's kind of a little bit of a side note. If you break it down scientifically, then perhaps you're still consuming pork. But that's all I have to say about that. It was just kind of a side note.
Bacteria.
Okay. Kenny?
When it came to Matt's comment about the differences in culture, especially between a place like America and Japan, I think that what's interesting is that America's influence in terms of they're incredibly sex negative, not only in their public life but also their private life. And this is coming twofold: one from the prevalence of Christianity in our country, but also, as well as that, a remnant of the Victorian era and the influence of England on our country. As for Japan, because Christianity wasn't so prevalent, a lot of their earlier beliefs regarding sex were shown, and then when Buddhism came on the scene, there became this split between your personal life and your private life. And what they said was, unlike America, where both your personal life and your public life have to be have to be completely clean, like no sexy stuff. In Japan, they tell you don't bring it into your public life, like don't bring it to your workplace or school because that's dumb. But if you're doing something in the privacy of your own home, you can do whatever freaky shit you want to do. Like, there's actually, if I recall correctly, there are fetish clubs in Japan where business employees will actually, like, they'll go there to entertain clients. Because for them, that's an aspect where it delves in the gray area between public and private life, but at the same time, it's not, like, at the workplace or at the school or something like that. And I think that's an interesting compartmentalizing, and that's actually something that's relatively recent as far as I understand in terms of what I've gathered through linguistics. So that's an interesting thing to know. I studied Japanese culture for about 4 years. That's mostly why I know that. Like they have hot springs there, and they're absolutely fine with being naked in front of other people. Like, I think they have gendered ones, they have co-gender ones. They're completely they're not ashamed about their bodies because it's not like a public place like work or school is. It's personal. And so that's a really interesting thing that I think is something that could probably benefit this country, especially in regards to sexuality and the like, because that it's just interesting that when you remove the religious aspect, such as something that represses sexuality, it becomes a lot more interesting in terms of what is considered okay and what is considered not okay in that regard. I'm done.
Okay. Zabora?
Actually, I think I want to pass on this, and yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pass this.
Okay. All right. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to kind of keep the conversation flowing, and so I don't know how this new format is, but yeah, I mean, I was actually kind of thinking about how religions just seem to, I don't know, just seem to kind of control people, and I think definitely controlling people's sex lives is one thing. I just never understood why it's so. I mean, in my opinion, whatever two people do, or more than two people do behind closed doors, it's never really bothered me unless that what they're doing behind those closed doors is, plotting to kill me. I mean, it doesn't really matter what they're doing, but it just seems like they have, like, especially a lot of Christians and Muslims have a lot to say about who sleeps with who and who marries who and how they do it and all this stuff. And I never understood the, why it would be so important to do that. So I was just wondering what other people had to say about it. But it's interesting hearing other people's perspective on it. So I don't know what else to talk about with this. I guess we could just kind of like open it up and just kind of like, is there anything that come to people's minds around this topic or anything?
Well, I did also want to say something about pork, and I completely forgot. Kind of like what Michelle was saying before, that corn. Can't just corn because it's delicious. And back in the day, I could understand not eating pork, like you said, Logan. It's you undercook it, there's still going to be bacteria. The meat poisonous to us. So back in the day, yeah, I could understand not eating certain meats because of that animal, their own food. I think the pig's digestive system takes like 2 hours or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Quick, it's very fast, and they don't foods like how a cow would. Like a cow pukes up their food again, chews it, and then swallows it. So it's really getting finely ground. So yeah, we eat it on the 4th of July. We go out and barbecues. We love pork. Yes, it's still not healthy. A lot of the controlling factors that happened way back then had a reason. It had a reason. And today, exactly, why care about what happens behind closed doors?
Yeah. So, yeah.
I think there was something that was said about hypocrisy that also delves into the concept of marriage, and I think that what was interesting is through my research of Abrahamic religions, as far as I understand, and I'm going to quote Aaron Ra in this regard, but because I've been listening to a lot of his skeptic talks, it's not marriage in Abrahamic religions is not one man and one woman. It is one man and however many women he can fit into his house, or however many women he can afford to keep. So I find it kind of hypocritical that they're like one man, one woman, when it's like your book says polygamy is okay. Why are you against polygamy? Why are you against polygyny? Like, why?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the only hypocrisy, but that's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Any other thoughts on this?
I got one.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, it's like I said earlier. I just want the right to be crazy in private. So long as I'm following the law, I don't see how this affects you.
Right.
The other day, I was out at the bus stop and I was chewing on my nails, and the guy comes over and he's like, "Hey, you shouldn't do that." And I was like, "Yeah, and what's it to you?"
Yeah, right.
Right. So I don't understand that. I really don't. It's like, why do you have to insert yourself into my business and try to control me? Fuck you. It's not your business. So I don't know, but I do see that also within the pagan community. I get bashed a lot as someone who does darker work, you could say, malevolent magic, but that doesn't mean that I'm totally 100% saying you should always use it. It's just something that, something I can encounter within the pagan community as well as being, a bad witch or something. So that's just my thoughts on that.
Well, that's an interesting topic. I mean, what do you mean by people bashing you for performing quote unquote darker magics? What do you mean by that?
Okay, so like with the Trump spell, you guys remember that, right?
The what spell?
There was a lot of
Too well.
even with like it being binding magic versus being like negative, and real witches don't do negative workings. I think before that it was Brock Turner cursing, and Raymond Buckland came out and said real witches don't do curse work. I know he is a little bit more old school and refers to what we now call Wicca as witchcraft, because that was the original name of the religion. But some people take that to heart as being, real witches don't do malevolent work. With that Trump finding ritual, that video I got, I had a lot of people telling me that real witches don't do it, harm none, threefold law, that kind of stuff.
But just out of curiosity, Zavor, do you consider that bashing?
Well, I'm sorry, it wasn't really bashing. It was a lot of, you're a Luciferian then, you're not a real witch. And that's kind of offensive to me because I do take my craft very seriously. So that's, I think, not bashing, is just offensive.
Yeah, it sounds like they were just kind of like, they were just sort of imposing their ethics and their morals onto you.
Yeah.
And that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, it just, control, it happens everywhere. It just tends to be like the people that are a little newer to the craft that do it, or the really old school ones who are like Buckland, who say things like that. To them, witchcraft is what has become Wicca.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what is people's thoughts on like casting baleful, or what would be the best way to describe it? Like casting spells that would impose your will upon another, I think is the best way to describe it. What do you think about that, David?
It's pretty much like how you impose your will on someone else physically. You're forcing someone to do something that's pretty much against their will. I mean, that's wrong on itself. But when it comes to certain situations, like you're trying to defend someone or something, I mean, you're trying to defend yourself. Fight back. That's imposing your will as well, but you're doing it for your better, your safety, for the better of mankind. I mean, all throughout history, there have been war for many different reasons. No really bad guys or rude guys, but for material gain, for financial gain, for land. And I mean, that's basically how we are as people. We're gonna have to try to test each other's borders at certain points to defend ourselves or to do something. Whether or not it makes you a good person or not, that is on morality. Now, when it comes to whether or not you're a witch, when it comes to malevolent magic or not, I believe that you're still a witch. The term what is defined by a witch to me is you are of the craft. Malevolent magic or not, it is magic, and you are practicing of the craft. Now, I don't think you should be considered anything other than a witch or be judged by what kind of witch you are just because of what kind of magic or malevolent magic or not. Judged by what the intent is, like whether or not you're a good person or not whether or not you're Luciferian or not. That's all by what you believe and what the practice is, not what the actual, what the spell is itself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what about you, Matt?
I've said it once. If I said it once, I've said it a million times.
Okay, so next.
Magic. Now we heard you already before. Fuck off, asshole. Of itself is a tool. No matter how you look at it, use the it's not the gun that kills, it's the person behind the trigger that does. So when you use your magic, you got to realize that there will be consequences, whether it's will upon another person. It all depends on your own morality and your own personal situations. If you feel the need to quote unquote curse somebody, think of the harm you can do to not only that person but yourself and others. Was it really that big of a slight to where absolutely have to, you got to think about what you do in everything. Just not so you're not, So, new practitioner, just remember, magic is a tool. Do with it. Anything can become a weapon. That's my thoughts on it.
Okay. And Michelle?
Just a curious question. So I'm curious, has anybody ever made or used war water? And if they have, did it ever work? What's your opinion on it?
What did you say? War water?
War water.
Oh, okay. Let's finish the line of this one, then we'll come back around to that. We'll talk about that next. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For sure, sounds good.
Kenny, what do you think about imposing your will upon another, or baleful magic?
I would say that there's a big difference between imposing your will and doing your best to help someone if it's a negative circumstance. For example, I will readily admit that I have done bindings before, but in the case of it, I think there's actually only one that I can think of that has ever been used for some sort of negative purpose, because the only other one that I remember using, because I've only done this twice, was for the specific purpose of aiding in helping someone get over their depression. And it was not easy, and it required me to do that, and it also required me to stay by her side and be a good friend and be there for her every day at school. But the one that would be seen as malevolent was actually really recent, and it did take a lot out of me, and it did come back to me because it impacted my grades. Surprisingly, it took a lot of energy out of me, and it took a lot of time, and so my academics kind of suffered as a result.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized that if that's the cost, then I'm going to have to own that, and I'm going to have to catch up. And I realized that, and that's pretty much why I'm doing summer classes. But other than that, I did very much intend that it was justified, because it was more along the lines of saying, listen, if you're going to keep lying, those lies are not going to be your friends. They're not going to be your friends. And I think I took your advice on, when you think about doing something like that, give it a day to see if it's just anger or if it's actually something that you're thinking about. And I gave it a day. I gave it 2 days. It was still there. And I said, no. And so that happened, and I am really ashamed of it. But at the same time, I realized whatever came to me was going to come to me. And that's the long and the short of it, is that even though I know what I did, it doesn't mean that I'm somehow evil or satanic or what have you, because I did something that I felt it was justified, even though I think I took it a bit too far.
Okay.
But I think that things in and of themselves were relatively justified. I'm sorry to end this, but I have to get him to bed because he's not a night owl like me.
That's okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It was nice meeting you.
Yep.
Future hubby.
You guys have a nice night.
Mm-hmm.
Blessed be.
Yeah. All right, Zabor, I know you kind of started this, but do you have any last thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think that, like I said, as someone that has experienced both curse work that I've been very satisfied with and curse work that has backfired on me twofold, or at least failed in 2 different ways. I think I can honestly say that it is of my opinion that we're here to learn, And as a witch, we should experience everything. And that's usually the way people learn anyway, is when they do it for themselves. And that's something that I admire about the craft. It's about finding out what works for you. But I don't know. It's just I forgot where I was going with that.
That's okay. That's all right.
But yeah, that's kind of it. It's something that you're supposed to experience, and oh yeah, it matches my morals. That witchcraft was given to the people to influence their lives, and to change their lives. And if that happens to be that I know a secret that gets me a job, then why not use it to better myself? Because that's going to better the economy by me spending my paycheck. So long as you can try to match the spell work to the best of your intentions, even if it is negative, I don't know, I don't think that it should be shunned. Like I said, I've had curse work be very, very successful. It's just that know that there are consequences. Like Mad said, there is equal and opposite reactions. That's just basic science, you know?
Yeah.
Just take time, I guess, when you do curse work. It's not something that I do advocate. It's just something that I don't think should be as demonized as it is. Yeah.
Okay. And I know that Raymond Buckland got a lot of flack for that comment. I think there was a couple of things that most people seem to focus in on. One was the fact that he said that people who did it weren't a real witch, and then also that he kind of put him in a position where he was sort of speaking for everyone. And then lastly was that he was saying that you weren't a real witch if you do curse spells. But the way that I look at it is people like Raymond Buckland, people who have been in the community for a while, have been kind of the face of Wicca, if you will, or the face of paganism. The people who have come before us, I have a certain level of respect for them because they've gone through stuff that I haven't gone through. They came up in a different time. They came up in a time where people threw rocks through your window if they found out you're a witch. They got you fired from your job if you were a witch. I mean, it was really hardcore stuff. People lost kids, apartments, marriages, jobs. And so they have a different point of view than us today. And today, I mean, I'm kind of, a lot of you are much younger than me. You have a completely different life than what I went through, kind of like being a little witchling. Same thing with Raymond Buckland and other people like that. So I kind of take it as, I think there was a certain amount of wisdom in what he said, although people took it, they took it kind of like, well, how can he say that everybody, or what is a real witch, and they can do this and they can do that. I think that there's a certain amount of wisdom in it. If you look around, if you do like a Google search on YouTube or anything, and you do like binding spells of Trump, you're going to see a lot of videos of people who are doing bindings. You're going to see a lot of videos of people who are just making fun of witches, just laughing at us because they think that we're so stupid because we believe in magic and spells and we can bind people. And then you get a lot of Christians who are saying, see, these witches were doing it. They've been doing spells. It's true. It's all true. So that stoked the fires a little bit. And I think that that's something that if you were involved in that binding spell, you have to take a certain amount of responsibility for that. And I think that that's important for people to know. As for doing baneful magic or whatever people want to call it, I mean, you're going to do it anyway. So who cares what some 70-year-old guy who lives in New Jersey thinks about it? But that's my thoughts on that. So War Water, is that correct? Do you want to kind of introduce it for us a little bit,
Okay.
Mish?
Tuesday is Mars God of War's Day, so war water is linked to that. So if you're going to prepare some as war water, you're supposed to do it on a Tuesday, to my knowledge. Now, when you're doing something like that, if you Google it and everything else, it is a way to protect yourself. If you have somebody in your life, or you've come into contact with somebody who has been wrong or is a direct threat to you, then of course, like, you can go and do other things as well, involve authorities and everything else, but a little bit of protection magic, you can always use war water. So I'm not incredibly well versed in it, but I have used it before, and I was just curious if anybody else is familiar with it.
Okay. David, do you know anything about war water?
This is the first time I'm ever actually hearing about it, but I did do a quick Google search, and it seems that yeah, it seems that it's used in a way of, going against or protecting oneself from such attacks and such, whether or not, like, ill intention and such. I've also heard of this symbol called the witch's knot. You ever heard about it?
The witch's knot?
It's said to, yes, it's a kind of, I can't describe it. It's kind of a symbol, sigil that is used against witchcraft against yourself, so you get to protect yourself against it. But concerning war water, it's pretty new to me. Is it an old thing? Does it come from, like, a separate era?
It's hoodoo. I know what it is. I actually use it.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Zabora. Hold on one second, okay?
Okay.
Mad, do you know anything about it?
To me, it sounds like a witch's jar. When I heard war water, I'm sitting there. Yes, this is the first time I've heard of it, but war water kind of sounds to me like a witch's jar. Different people do different things with it, but again, it's just another type of protection magic. It sounds like, if I could substitute the war water with my witch's jar, yes, I have used witch's jars in the past, and I have found very, very great success with them. So, I mean, if you would rather do war water instead, I'll stick to my witch's jar. I'll go with what works for me right now.
Okay. So I'm sorry, Zabora. So you said you know something about it?
Yeah, actually, I believe it is used in hoodoo. At least that's where I encountered it. And it was actually it's known as iron water, and it was once used as a healing property or a healing formula for anemia, because people that are anemic, they don't have enough iron in their body. I'm anemic, so what this is used for actually is, spiritually wise, is to gain protection. And it's usually done in an extremely aggressive manner. It has also been used in witch wars, holy wars, that kind of thing. You can place a curse with it, but you can also physically or spiritually clean something very aggressively, and it would be wiped out completely, just clean slate kind of thing. Usually what you do, though, is you'll take iron nails, and you'll cut those nails and you'll place them in a mason jar. You are going to keep the jar kind of covered usually, but to start the rusting process, you're going to add water to the jar to just barely start to cover the nails. And then once the rusting process begins, add more water, keep it capped. You can store it in your fridge for like up to 6 months. Usually, so long as it doesn't have mold in it, you can use it. But it is very aggressive. I think other people have been known to add like flying devil's oil to it, which is a whole nother step. But that's the basic formula. But it can be used to create what they call the malevolent formula, and that's with sulfur and your own urine, and it is used specifically for a spiritual psychic attack.
Okay. And is it usually done in the hour and day of Mars?
I do. I think that's more of an European
Right.
kind of thing. So I think that's a personalization thing that you can do. I think it's just associated with war because of its intense red color.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
that
I
could
see.
be something to do with European folk magic.
Mhm. Yeah, because it sounds. I mean, iron is the metal of Mars, so it makes perfect sense. And also, red is the color of Mars, so it makes perfect sense that it would be associated with Mars. I mean, it's interesting. It seems like there's so many. There's a lot of crossovers between various traditions, and so I guess that's where water comes from.
Yeah,
So
I would think so. That's kind of what it sounds like to me. I guess the more tie-ins you can make, the stronger your magic's going to be anyway. So long as you make that connection and you understand it, that's what's important. You're the one who's doing the witchcrafting.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So did you have anything else on that, Michelle? Or is that
No, I want to thank Zabora for the information because definitely I can resonate with that, and I just want to say thank you.
Hey, no problem.
And that's all I have to say.
Anytime.
So let me see what else. Let me see. Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting when people use all kinds of various things. I know that there's all kinds of washes and waters and moon waters and stuff like that people incorporate into their practice. And yeah, I mean, kind of like what Zavora was saying, if it seems to resonate with you and it helps your practice, go ahead and do it. Myself personally, like I said earlier, there's a lot of stuff that I don't put into my practice because to me it doesn't, how can I say this nicely? It doesn't make any sense to me. That's the best way I can say it. But to other people, it does make sense, and it really fits for them, and so they incorporate that into their practice. But like if I clean my altar, I just use water and a little bit of lavender. I don't have to create a whole Florida wash thing to do it. But for some people, that's what they choose to do, and we're all different, have different practices. Yeah. So I don't know. Anything else people want to talk about?
Yeah, I got a question for you guys.
Okay.
All right, so what are your views on like ceremonial magic versus say folk magic that's very impromptu and not so much ritualized?
Could you give an example?
Okay, so like a spiritualist who may not go through a whole cleansing ritual and then offering to deity, someone like an atheist or something. Instead of having a ceremony that they would go through, someone who just whips up an altar, does what they need to do, gets down to business, and then puts everything away. What is your views on like that? The difference of that? Are you more ceremonial, or are you more folksy?
Well, what would the folk person do though?
A folk person is I guess somebody who is more spiritualist and less ritualized.
Okay. David, you want to try that?
Honest difference, I don't understand what's the difference between the two. Ceremonial, I know. Folk, I'm not sure.
Where do you guys like? Are you more traditionalist? Do you guys stick with more of a strict ceremony every time you sit down to do something, or are you more of a here you go, or that kind of thing?
So it sounds like she's. So correct me if I'm wrong, Zabor, if I'm framing your question wrong. do you believe that having a very ritualized, organized ritual is more or less powerful than somebody who just kind of like does it in the spare of the moment, sort of whatever's around them, they just kind of throw it together? Would that be a correct assessment
Yeah,
of your question? Okay.
Yeah, you see, that works.
Looks like we lost Mad. I didn't kick him.
I understand. Okay, I guess for me, it has to be ceremonial, mainly because I feel that if you keep something in like a like a routine, if you keep a routine, you're more used to it, you're more dedicated to it. You know, you keep your mind set to it. If I would actually try to just do things on the willy-nilly, then I feel I'll get kind of lazy and I'll start kind of forgetting about it and kind of forgetting the whole gist of it. I need to do routine. I need to do ceremony in order to keep the whole routine, so I can know everything about it, to remember every little bit about it, so I can feel that my mind is fully aware of it.
Okay. And Michelle?
I'm very spur. When I get tired, I tend to do things. So if the energy is right, then I just take time out and either meditate or do what I need to do. So I do understand ceremonial magic and ceremonial things. For me, it's really sporadic. And when the energy is right or I feel inclined to do so, then I just go through with it.
Mm-hmm. And so for myself, I have been to rituals that were sort of just kind of like thrown together at the last minute. My own personal practice, there have been occasions where the middle part of it, like the meat part of it, is just kind of like I just kind of like do it sort of by instinct, like whatever seems to appeal to me, I'll do it. But as for the whole setup of it and then the closing down of it, yes, it's very ritualized for me. There are certain aspects of like when you get into like ceremonial magic, like the Order of the Golden Dawn, where you just really ritualize everything, and everything has to be done in a certain way, and you have to create your tools, and you have everything. I think it can become very ritualized. For myself, I like to keep a nice balance. Like when I go into circle, I don't want to sit there and read what I have to read when I'm going through and doing all the things that I want to do. I want to have it memorized. So when I go in, it flows very easily for me. But when I go in and I'm actually trying to raise energy and focus my intention on something, it might be planned out, it might be spontaneous, it really depends. So what about for yourself, Sabora?
Well, I personally, my religion is I have a very set religious structure when it comes to honoring deity, and I incorporate my spell work into that. So I'm very ceremonial. But when it comes to the actual spell or whatever I'm doing, I find that when it's spontaneous, it tends to fizz out like within a month or so. But when it takes like 3 or 4 days to actually plan it and meticulously pick my ingredients or whatever I'm going to use and set up the mundane efforts for the spell, I find like those tend to last like a year or more. And I find that there's a little bit more power in the ceremony for me. So personally, I have used very successfully some spontaneous rituals. I think that there's definitely a place for them. I just tend to lean more towards ceremonial.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, hey, Matt, welcome back. So,
yeah, my Wi-Fi cut out on me.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. Welcome back. So, Zabora introduced a question about what you think is either more effective or less effective, having a practice that is more structured and organized, or one that is kind of less more spontaneous and kind of like whatever feels right to you. Sort of like
The difference is,
Oh, you heard it before, ceremonial and folk magic? Okay.
to me, they each have their place.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's a lot of apprentices that prefer ceremonial over folk. As the effectiveness of either one, I don't see a difference. I've done both ceremonial and, spontaneous, let's get this shit done kind of magic. But seeing a difference between the two, it still all boils down to intent. Again, just my experiences. So if your intent is true, if your intent is truly what you want, whether you go through 45 minutes calling corners and then getting down to the nitty-gritty, or just a birthday candle a day. So, but again, will dictate whether you do it as a ceremony, go through the motions, be more organized, be more structured. But I do have to say that if you are a solitary practitioner, just pull out that birthday candle and call it a day. Ceremonial magic is more in place for groups of people, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So I mean, it sounds kind of like everybody has their own opinion about that. So yeah, it's a good question, Sabora. The other thing that just came to my mind was I was thinking about was if we were going to take like everything, like from every tradition, every culture that practices some sort of religious or magical tradition, and if we just started tearing it down to like its most simplistic form, like what does it boil down to? Like if we were going to find the least common denominator between all of these things, what would that be? And so it's a kind of a tough question, but let's see what we think about that. What do you think, David?
Can you repeat the question once more? I just need it.
So okay, so if we were going to look at all, like let's say Voodoo, Santeria, witchcraft, any kind of various religious magical system, and we are going to break it down to its like least common denominator, like what is universal throughout all of them. Like for example, if you have dancing, what are you doing when you're dancing? If you are making war water, what are you doing with war water? If you are doing the ceremonial circle and magic, what are you doing with that? If you are a witch who's putting like herbs and stones into like a witch jar or a witch bag, what are you doing? So it's like if we were going to look at all the cultures and everything and kind of break it down to the least common denominator, what do you think it would be? Does that help?
Yeah.
It's a hard one.
Well, the thing is, it'll be the spirits, more than likely, because if you go about the Caribbean, a lot of the religions there, etc., you notice that a lot of the work, or a lot of the common work, would be working with the spirits, those who have passed, or those who or the spirits that are connected to nature itself, or concepts, because it is the fact of life, the odd things in life, the magic that's in everywhere, the elements, and those who had passed, those who still contain knowledge. It ranges from the European culture all the way to, as I said, the Caribbean. I believe that though there are many different types of spells, I believe that those differences is what makes them all unique, but also the similarities is what helps connect all of us, because every spell has its own root, where its source is, where it comes from. If we could like trace them all back, we could understand why they are the way they are, and we can understand those who actually practice those spells as well.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think, Mad?
Sorry about that. She was bugging me to turn the light off. um, the least common denominator between all paths of magic, I would have to say the understanding of nature. If you kind of look at all the different cultures, ancient and current, it all revolves around what happens in nature. Deities are based off of nature. Deities are based off of human nature. You know, simplest way I could put it is it's just our understanding past that's all paths, all pagan paths, whatever you wish to call them, have the most in common.
Okay. And what do you think, Michelle?
What comes down to for most things is fulfilling wants and needs. So you do what you need to do to fulfill what you want as well as what you need. And that goes for other religions as well. That's what draws people to certain things, is if they're lacking something, they're going to seek it. So that's my opinion on that. It's based, in my opinion, on wants and needs.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think, Savora?
Well, for me personally, I think the thing that unites every witchcraft path is the desire to cause a change through some type of energy manipulation. And that's personally kind of what I define witchcraft as. You are a witch if you do any kind of energy work or spirit work or whatever you want to call that. And it's either, I don't want to say divine because there are atheist witches out there, but it's usually mortal manipulation. So that is witchcraft for me. That's what connects them all. This the desire to cause change through energy manipulation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was kind of my thoughts too. Is it's just kind of like I see the similarities. Like when I see somebody doing something like, let's say, making some kind of a water or something like that, I see the same intention. It's like what they're doing is they're creating something that has the intention of protection or the intention of being aggressive or bringing money to them or whatever it is, or bringing love to them. It's creating that intention. And so whatever it is that they're doing, if they're dancing or if they're creating water or if they're putting certain things into a bag and having a little mojo bag or whatever it is, it's all seems to be sort of the same thing of putting their intention into what it is that they want to happen. So, but I think what David said about spirits was interesting too, because there's a lot of cultures that believe that they petition the spirits, and even Catholicism, they petition saints, they petition God, and then God essentially carries out their intentions for them. So it's kind of like an indirect path, but it's the same thing. You're still sort of you're getting your intention out there and desiring what you want to happen. So I mean, it's kind of interesting to get everybody's perspective on that. So we've been on. We could have it be an even 3 hours, So we got about 12 minutes left. If there's anything that, any questions or anything that people have
Well,
or thoughts?
I wanted to expand kind of like on what you said about intention.
Okay.
You know, I wanted to say like belief, but yeah, it all comes down to they have a personal belief about what they're able to do, and they're able to change it. So yeah.
Could you repeat that, Zipporah?
I kind of I would call what you would say intention, that intention being there, being belief. They have that belief that they're putting into their magic.
Okay, yeah, but I don't think no, I think belief and intention are two different things. Because because for example, when I go into circle and I have the intention of doing something, I don't have the belief. I just have the action. I'm just doing the action, and my intention is there. Whether or not I believe it's going to happen or not, I can think about that later on. But in the moment, my intention and my concentration and my focus is on what I need to do. And if it happens, that reinforces my belief, but it's the intention that is there. Believing it, in my opinion, that's secondary. It's obviously, if you don't believe something's going to happen and you keep doing it, you're probably going to stop doing it after a certain period because you don't believe it's going to work. It's going to happen. So I would, for myself, I would keep those two things separate.
Yeah, I just have a different opinion. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's okay. No, you can't have a different opinion.
No, that's just, I'm not going to argue my point. That was just, I put belief behind my intention. That's all.
I see. Okay. For you, you put belief behind it.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's see. All right. Anything else? Any other thoughts, ideas, comments?
Cece brought up a good question.
Okay.
And I think this might be a good closer too. Is she's asked, name something you find great about your individual practices. So not your path itself, but the practices that you personally do. Name like one thing great. I think that might be a great thing to do.
Okay. You want to start,
just to
Matt?
close everything up? Sure. I guess I put myself in the hot pot here. Practices. I do a lot of healing magic, and the healing magic I do about my individual practice is that just the sheer relief to other people is, I don't find it just beneficial for them. I find it beneficial for me as well. That's something we could all strive to do, is just help. It's just a great feeling to be able to somebody feel a little bit better.
Okay. What about you, Michelle?
Thing that's really me is long learning. So one thing that's incredibly important to my practice is always learning and always being open to new information. So to me, learning is what's incredibly important about my practice. Because as you learn, you grow, you can spread your knowledge and achieve great things. So lifelong learning.
Okay. And what do you think, Zipporah?
Well, I practice hoodoo kind of magic, and I think the really great thing about that is that it's very individualized, and it's about making personalized connections with what you're doing to help strengthen your magic.
Okay. For me, I like the tradition because I come from a British traditional line, so I like the idea of doing something that has a connection. And the research that I've done, it's also connected to the Western occult tradition. And this is stuff that you can go back to 15th century, 13th century, 8th century, 5th century, and even philosophers before that. And then astrology back to what, 2600 BCE. So I like that that idea of understanding how there's a connection, there's a tradition that goes back. So I like the tradition aspect of my practice. What about you, David?
Similar to Michelle's, knowledge is, as they say, knowledge is power. But the idea that there's so much to witchcraft and to paganism, when I first started, I started realizing there was another world, and it was just so amazingly beautiful. So to learn everything that I could, though that was attempted to be hidden away, I've seen it's widespread throughout the world and history. So to learn more about it, the past, and learn more about the way people are, it's just the more I learn, the more I get to understand what is out there, and the more I can understand myself as well. So it's also a journey for me as well.
Okay. All right. Well, that was a good, yeah, Matt, that was a good question. So yeah, and then what about this format instead of like a free for all? What did people think about this, the format?
I thought it was actually more in control. No one was talking over another person. I found it that the level of respect with this format was above and beyond. Out of just, oh, but hey, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this way. It really felt like a panel instead of Congress yelling at each other.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anybody else?
No, I agree with that. I really enjoyed this format. I've been watching some of the other live streams that you've been doing, and it's been crazy because it's just like, well, blah 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 blah. Well, CC and Loveless, he's gonna go, and then you got Loki's witch in the back with her hand raised, and she's trying to get a word in edgewise. And so I think that this is, I felt more like a little bit more order to the chaos, and I like this format a little better.
Okay. Oh, good. Yeah. I ejected Loveless, and I'm just going to be honest. I like Loveless. I think he's a nice guy, but I think he's pretty young, and he's very kind of, he's just out to have fun. That's just what it is, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what he wants to do. But I needed people to be a little more serious in this, and I didn't feel like he was really being too serious, and so that's why I ejected him. Maybe I did it in kind of a impulsive, bad way, but that's my fault. So I apologize, Loveless. But yeah. I mean, I think if you're gonna be on and talking about stuff, I think you need to not talk over other people and stay a little bit serious. We have fun here, but I think he's just kind of a young guy who's out to have some fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. Anybody else have any feedback?
I see the level of respect is really high, so I quite enjoy that because everybody gets a turn to talk, and everybody's opinion is valued, and it's a more mature format, and I definitely enjoy it for sure.
Okay, well, thanks. All right, so I mean, I'm going to be doing this on a regular basis every Saturdays at 7 p.m. I'm so sorry I put 6 p.m. for this one, so people were showing up at 6 p.m. thinking the show was going to start, and I'm so sorry it was actually going to be at 7 p.m. And so you know what? I know Zabora has a channel. I know Mad has a channel. David, you don't have a channel, do you?
Not as of yet.
Okay, that's all right. No pressure. So why don't we go down, Zabora? Why don't you tell people a little bit about your channel and where they can find it?
Well, my channel is just Zabora. That's Zabora. And that's, unfortunately, I'm not going to change it because Zabora is how I'm known on G Plus, and I'm very big on G Plus, so go stalk me there. But now that I'm on YouTube, I'm kind of upset about that name. But I'm basically a comedic pagan. I'm a witch first, a priest second. So I have a lot of practicality kind of witchcraft videos. And I'm currently doing a witchcraft for beginners kind of series right now.
All right, cool. So go and subscribe to her channel. She's got a great channel. And Michelle, you have a channel because I went and checked it out the other day.
Yeah, I started
And
it up
sub.
actually. So yeah, it's Mish Maven on YouTube. That's MICHMAVEN. So yeah, I just started it up as something interesting to do, to connect with people, connect with the community, because as of, well, before I was incredibly private, but being a private person, you're kind of isolated, and especially with some of the things that I believe in and some of the things that I do, and being rural, it's tough to connect with people. You're kind of outcasted and outsiders. I'm kind of getting comfortable with this YouTube thing, so I thought, you know what, let's just give it a try. So yeah, I'm definitely enjoying it for sure. And thanks for the opportunity to come on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was good to have you. Thank you. And Matt, you have a channel, don't you?
No, I don't. Yeah, I have a channel. It's Mad Witch, the Pissed Off Pagan. I'm more of the political side of argumentation. I very rarely do talk about religion. It's debunked. Recently hit 100 subscribers, so I'm happy about that. And yes, I am still working on my 100 subscribers special. As of right now, I just wanted to thank everybody who has supported me and my channel, and that's that. I have found a great community within YouTube itself. It's always a pleasure to be here on Logan's channel.
Well, thanks. And we also, Matt and myself, also do Heathen Haven, and you can check, and also Loki's Witch, who was in the chat a little while ago. But Loki's Witch, Mad Witch, and myself, we have Heathen Haven, which is Sundays at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we kind of watch videos and goof off and laugh. We were going to have a guest on tomorrow, Kendra, Thorn Rose Witch, but something came up, so it looks like she's not going to be on. But it looks like she'll be on next week, so we're excited about that. So it'll just be the three of us tomorrow. But yeah, so this was a great panel. It felt a little stiff to me, but then after a little while, it kind of. I agree. I think I agree with everybody. I think it was much easier to kind of have it in a controlled atmosphere, and then people have an opportunity to speak up. And so I think I'm going to keep this format and have topics that we can discuss. And so thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. If you haven't gone and checked out their channels, please do so, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And watch their content. I mean, they're all great people. I know that Zabora has some great content, Matt has great content, and Mitch has some great content too. And David, when he gets a channel up, he'll have great content too, I'm sure.
That'll be
if he ever does.
That'll be soon. And maybe about a month or two I'll be moving out.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to. I'm just giving you a hard time. So
Thank you.
All right. The chat has been lively as always. So thank you all so much, and I will see you next Saturday.
All right. Blessed be.
Blessed be.